The United States of America will continue to do what we must do to protect our people. We will be vigilant and we will be relentless. When people harm Americans anywhere, we do what's necessary to see that justice is done, and we act against ISIL, standing alongside others.
I am Stephen Joel Sotloff. I'm sure you know exactly who I am by now and why I am appearing before you. And now, it is time for my message. Obama, your foreign policy of intervention in Iraq was supposed to be for the preservation of American lives and interests. So why is it that I'm having to pay the price of your interference with my life? Am I not an American citizen? You've spent billions of U.S. taxpayers' dollars, and we've lost thousands of our troops in our previous fighting against the Islamic State. So where's the American people's interests in reigniting this war? From what little I know about foreign policy, I remember a time when you could not win an election without promising to bring our troops back home from Iraq and from Afghanistan, and to close down Guantanamo. Here you are now, Obama, nearing the end of your term, and having achieved none of the above, and deceivingly marching us, the American people, into a blazing fire.
I'm back, Obama, and I'm back because of your arrogant foreign policy towards the Islamic State, because of your insistence in continuing your bombings in Al-Madli, Zamara and the Mosul Dam, despite our serious warnings. You, Obama, have yet again, through your actions, killed yet another American citizen. So just as your missiles continue to strike our people, our knife will continue to strike the necks of your people.
Hi, Tom Trento here with a sad analysis, folks, of the recent beheading of a Florida citizen, Steve Sotloff. And many of you have seen him in the news lately with this group ISIS, the Islamic State, threatening to behead him. It looks as indeed that occurred. And with us to analyze this is our dear friend and special guest, Gary Berntsen. Gary currently works with Concerned Veterans for America. He's their Senior Policy Advisor on National Security Issues. Gary spent a very long time in the Central Intelligence Agency, retired from there as a Senior Operations Officer, ran several stations, was involved in the hunt for Osama Bin Laden, wrote the book Jawbreaker. Gary has firsthand experience with Islamic Jihad, and he also is in our home state of Florida, where Stephen Sotloff was a citizen of the state of Florida. Gary, another horrendous event by ISIS, the Islamic State, and we want to get your input in this right now regarding, Americans are asking, Gary, what the hell's going on? Who are these people? Are they coming to America? And is there anything we can do about this? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, of course, clearly, we are faced with a serious threat from ISIS. ISIS, the Islamic State, is now, covering territory. They have a landmass which they are covering, which is the size, 3 times the size of the space of the state of Lebanon, of the government of Lebanon. Al-Qaeda never had more than $30 to $50 million. These guys are handling, they're handling $1 billion. They stole 500 million just from one bank in Mosul. So they're very, very well resourced. ISIS is an organization. They are Salafist terrorists who are clearly committed to waging war on the West, waging war on Western interests. They're trying to build a caliphate that will, sort of dominate the region. We have to be concerned because they're not far from the oil in the Arabian Peninsula. And there are those in the Islamic world, some in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and Qatar, that have provided funding, not necessarily their governments, but they present a threat to the world's oil supplies. They're very close to those oil supplies. And, I know that they've seen, when you look at the map, you see where they've moved from Syria to Iraq right up to the border of Iran. You have to recognize that they're not going to threaten Iran because Iran has a majority Shia population. The place they will find converts is places like Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. And those are the states that have become very, very concerned of this threat. And actually, in the last week, the senior religious leader in Saudi Arabia, Mufti Sheikh Abdulaziz al-Sheikh, announced that ISIS is the #1 enemy of Islam in the world and needs to be dealt with.
That's very, very interesting, and that brings in the issues of the Islamic doctrine. We'll save that discussion for another day. But what I'd like to do for our viewers right now, and we're broadcast on Breitbart TV, so we have all of those folks out there. Your years in the agency, Central Intelligence Agency, part of your mission always was to understand the mindset of the enemy, the psychological, operational mindset of the enemy. Walk through the planning, tactical and strategic planning of, I'll refer to them as ISIS, in terms of the value they see in a beheading and the timing in which they release these various videos that they're putting out there and their use of social media. How would you analyze that from the agency's point of view?
Well, what I would say is this, is they have a very, very sophisticated media operation. And we sort of refer to this in terms of I.O., information operations. That's what they're doing, information operations. They are timing their acts and conducting acts and releasing press releases for maximum effect. They are using these things to counter what they see are U.S. efforts at I.O. or propaganda. They have a full staff of people that are creating media, releasing media. They're attempting to intimidate their opponents and the population with the use of media. They're making very effective use of media, as did Al-Qaeda, as does Hezbollah, as does Hamas. All of these major terrorist organizations have gotten in the I.O. world, and ISIS is no different than the others. And I have to say that they've developed capacity at a very rapid rate and are using it pretty effectively.
Gary, it's a perplexing situation because as we're examining the mind of the jihadist right now with this asymmetric beheading tactic, my question to you is, then there's second causes and third causes. These guys are playing out a long war. They understand that. They believe they're following in the path of Muhammad or Saladin. Do they really believe, does the ISIS upper management believe that these horrible beheadings broadcast to the world will cause the Obama administration to somehow do their bidding in some way, shape, or form?
I think they believe that the Obama administration can be intimidated, but I think that they're not reading the situation properly. The killing of these journalists is driving the Obama administration, those in the media, because the media is vested in these journalists who have lost their lives, and others together. I think actually ISIS has misplayed this, and the murder of these two journalists will allow the left, the right, and the media to join together in the United States in common cause, and ultimately will allow for the destruction of ISIS.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, with us is Gary Berntsen. He's the National Policy Director on National Security Issues for Concerned Veterans for America. And he had a distinguished career, retired from the Central Intelligence Agency. So he has firsthand knowledge and experience with Islamic jihadis. Gary, we're going to play a little fantasy game here as we bring this segment to a close. You know, fantasy football. How about fantasy counter-terrorism? You get a call from the White House. They say, Mr. Berntsen, we saw you on Trento's show, and we need you to come in here and tell us how to solve this ISIS problem. They get you to D.C. You're at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. What are you going to tell the president?
The first thing I would say is you need to take a page out of the playbook of George Herbert Walker Bush back in 1991. You need to build an international coalition, and you need to get the United Nations to vote for the use of force. Just to get this on record, You need to put a coalition of people together. We're going to have to put some boots on the ground, led by America, but with many others. And those that will not fight will pay. Just like in 1991, Germany and Japan did not send troops, but they paid. The United States didn't owe a penny when 1991, when that first Gulf War was concluded. And we don't need more debt. So I would build a coalition. I'd get a vote at the UN on this. I would drive in on these guys and I would attack them as quickly as possible. But simultaneously, for the long haul, I would build a surrogate force. And when I say a surrogate force, I mean the British have the British Gurkhas, the French have the French Foreign Legion. Many years ago, the United States had a thing called the Filipino Scouts. We had 20,000 Filipinos led by American officers. We need to create a surrogate force in the Middle East. I like to call it the Freedom Corps, which has indigenous peoples, whether they be Arabs or Afghans or others, thousands of them, led by U.S. military officers that do military police, light infantry, and become a new counterinsurgency force. We are going to be in the Middle East and fighting for a long time. Not because we want to be there. We're not interested in ISIS. Unfortunately, ISIS is very interested in us. Jihadists are interested in attacking us. We have no choice but to engage. We need to do so with a force that's economical, that understands the ground, and we need to prepare for the long struggle because we're in it.
Wow, that sounds, that's some new thinking and some creative and forward thinking. My final question to you, Gary Berntsen, does the United States, as President Obama says, we are war weary, does the United States have the will to be in a long fight against the Islamic jihadis?
We have no choice. They've declared war on us. They will keep coming at us. They will keep attacking us from now for the next 20 or 30 years. They are convinced that we are neo-imperialists, that we're flooding their world with our ideas, with our economic issues, with our social media, with television. All of these things run counter to their core belief system. They've declared war on us. We cannot withdraw from the world. If we're going to maintain our position in the world, we're going to have to fight them.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to meet Mr. Gary Berntsen, you can do that. Just go to IsraelSecuritySummit.com, Israel Security Summit. He is one of the featured speakers, along with General Jerry Blinken, General Tom McInerney, and Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. Monday, September 9th in Stoughton, Massachusetts. Be there. You've heard some amazing stuff from Mr. Gary Berntsen. Gary, thank you very much. I just want to tell you, God bless you and your service, and we're looking forward to seeing you up in Stoughton. We'll continue this conversation, and God bless America.
God bless America. Look forward to seeing you. Thanks, Tom.
Amen.